This is the Major Tarot Arcana part of the course. I have the quick reference chart over here. You have your Tarot handbook. I explained to you that the cards are 78 in total in the traditional deck, 22 of which are what are called the Major Arcana. The remaining 56 are what are called your suit cards or your pip cards, and they have various suits. As I explained the other night, you have, hopefully you can see this, you have your pentacles. Notice the circle with the pentagram in the middle. That has to do with money and finances. These are your wands. This happens to be the Page of Wands. It's a court card, and wands can always be determined by the long staff with the little leaves coming out on front. And then we have your hearts, which are very popular. This is another page, and this is the Page of Cups, and you will always notice the cups with the cup right there with a long stem, and at the bottom it tells you what the cards are. Whereas in the Major Arcanas, you've got Roman numerals at the top which tell you that they're Major Arcana until you recognize them on sight. Okay, now last but not least in the suit, you have the swords. This is the Ace of Swords, and swords are always swords, so you can't miss it. Plus it says Ace of Swords here. Alright, so we're going to put the minors aside for right now because the minor cards are not going to be talked about today. But we're going to talk about the first 11 of the major cards. And as I've explained before, 78 meanings seem daunting. Like I have to memorize 78 meanings of the cards. No, you don't. You just have to know the basic meaning of the card. All the weird symbolism, and you'll see things like here's the dog, what does this knapsack mean, he's holding a rose, what does the sun up here mean, is that a regular sun or something more significant, and I will be talking about these in later weeks to come. So we're going to start with, and I forgot to light my candles. I usually always have candles when I do a reading or I work with the cards, especially a white candle. White is for purity and clearing out any kind of negative vibes that might be in the area. It keeps your reading pure. Let's talk first. I'm going to move this over here about the first card of the tarot deck, and it is the 0. You'll notice it is called the Fool card. And that just simply means this is a soul who has just come into incarnation, or they're venturing out on some kind of a new journey. They kind of have a childlike quality, excitement. In other words, it's a brand new beginning, and you can see the Fool is just about ready to step off a cliff and is not really looking where she is going. So one of the basic meanings of this card is, you know, it's taking that leap of faith. Or you might get a feeling when you're looking at the card, either doing a reading for yourself or for someone else, look before you leap. This is a new beginning, and the Fool starts, you know, asking questions like, you know, do I have a choice to do this? So it could mean choices being offered. It could mean unexpected influences with the dog here. Is the dog trying to pull him back, or is the dog really trying to say, yeah, go for it? The Fool also stands for someone who is making unwise choices. So you go, well, how do I determine the meaning of the card when there's so many different meanings attached? You will get a feeling of what it is. You may hear it with one of your clairs. You may hear the words of what it means to you, the impressions that you get. You may get it in your clairsentience or your solar plexus area. You just may have a knowing and open up your mouth and say the words. That's why I often, when I read for myself, which is very seldom, I usually have a friend do it, then I pay attention to what comes out of my mouth. When you get meanings for cards, you don't have to reach for it. You don't have to really push to get the meaning. Just relax and let it come. But this is, again, the 0 is the Alpha and Omega, meaning the beginning and the end. When the fool reaches their journey at the end of their life, then they go back into spirit and they're born once again with another brand new beginning. So that's the Fool card. Card number 1, you'll notice what we talked about. The Magician is a 1 at the top. And here is a Magician. It's the only card in the deck that features all the minor pip cards or the suit cards. Here's your wand, here's your disc or pentacle, here's your cup, and here's your sword. The lemniscate over the Magician's head represents infinity. That's one of the symbols that we'll be talking about. But basically, the Magician is the one who, by their own efforts, gets things to happen. So to me, you know, when a magician comes up, it's like the person getting the reading, all they have to do is declare what it is that they want, tell the universe what they want, and then they bring it into manifestation on the earth plane. So he's pointing his rod or his crystal, whatever you want to call that magic wand, up to the heavens to pull in that universal energy, that powerful energy, going through the body and then coming out. As he's pointing down, I hope there's not really too much of a glare on these cards, he's manifesting it on the earth plane. Oftentimes this card represents to me as well something to do with medical or medicine, maybe a doctor, someone who's in the medical profession, whether it be a man or a woman, someone who really knows what they're doing. And it doesn't have to be a major illness or anything. It just, I might say to someone, maybe you've seen the doctor, or maybe you're going to go see the doctor, or maybe, again, it's someone who represents a doctor, nurse, therapist, someone in the medical profession themselves. Could even be somebody in pharmaceuticals. But this person is really working on directing themselves, and by using their will to create their life. That's the Magician. And the key words I have on the sheet are creative power, action may be required in a big way, manifestation, making things happen, and that whoever's getting the reading definitely has the tools to do what they need to do. If they don't have the tools, then they need to go out and acquire the tools for whatever the situation may be. Okay, so that's the Magician. Moving on to a very mysterious looking card, and I'm kind of moving this around to make sure it gets in the camera. This is the High Priestess, normally known in much older decks as the Papist, the counterpart to the Pope or the Hierophant. This was made by Edward Waite into being the High Priestess. He's taken a lot of really heavy Christian symbolism out of the cards and made it more, I won't say pagan, but made it more general, more universal. Here is the High Priestess sitting on her throne. She is the one who is in the know. She has the Book of Knowledge represented by what is called the Torah right there. That's a very ancient symbol within itself. She is the one that knows hidden secrets, the secrets that are about ready to be revealed. Often when this card comes up, it could represent someone who is a psychic, someone who is psychic and sensitive, someone who is about to get their answers, but the answers are unseen as of yet, but the answers are there. The answers also could represent really wonderful things for the querent. Remember, the querent, deriving from the word query, has to do with someone seeking answers. And so most definitely the High Priestess is letting you know that she has the answers will be forthcoming, whether they're coming from you, the psychic, or from the divine, or will be made apparent. This is something that is not quite yet on the radar screen and can be seen. And so that's Roman numeral number 2. The High Priestess you'll see on your quick reference sheet, and you may get different meanings in the handouts that I sent you, but remember, a lot of different books have slightly different meanings, and eventually each card will have its own unique meaning for each and every one of you that may not even necessarily come from a book. So she's hidden influences at work, intuition and insight, unfulfilled potential, so there's something yet to be fulfilled, and again, either the psychic or the medium. Here you go. That's the High Priestess. Here's a card everyone loves because it is a wonderful card. When this card appears in the reading, Roman numeral number 3 is the Empress. Now this is the mother, or the mother of all things. She can represent the goddess. She can represent a mother in a family. She can represent feminine influences at work with a lot of love and nurturing behind it. But she is a powerful being. She shows the love with the Venus sign right here. She's very comfortable. She's not having to struggle in any way. She represents fulfillment. She represents abundance with the wheat field here. Things are going well. She could represent a card of pregnancy. Someone's soon to be pregnant, or they already are. And she's about creativity. She is the creative fulfilled potential. Where you had unfulfilled potential of the High Priestess, you've got fulfilled potential, creative powers, abundance, growth. This could represent a marriage for someone, and also anything to do with motherhood. So this is a very wonderful card when someone comes to you and they're wondering, am I going to get married, or am I going to get pregnant? Am I going to have children? Is my home going to be an abundant home? This card coming up will let you know that these things are either happening or they are in the near future. Now remember what I mentioned to you. I don't read cards reversed, but if they happen to come up reversed in the spread, I will usually upright them, but I will notice if they come up reversed. And to me, reversed is just to a lesser degree of the upright card. So if the the Empress should come up reversed, that tells me it's not quite time yet for these things to happen, but they are on the drawing board. They are being made manifest. And we'll go more into that into the classes to help you out. Moving to card number 4 at the top, Roman numeral 4, is the Emperor. Now the Emperor could be the consort of the Empress, two very powerful beings. Now the Emperor could be the patriarch of the family, whereas the Empress is the matriarch. The Emperor could represent someone in the querent's life who is very strong-willed, very controlling, unyielding, unbending. You can see with the armor that this person has been through the wars and they're highly protected. Very powerful. This card represents foundation, balance, that it could represent, to me, it often represents a grandfather in someone's life. It could also represent a banking institution, someone in great power, possibly even the military or governmental agencies. And they're the ones that have the hammer, so to speak. So when this card comes up, it could mean that someone needs to take on these attributes for a while. They need to be strong in a situation. They don't need to be harsh, but they need to stand firm, that the power is there for them to tap into if they need it. The Emperor is a strong leader. He could be ruthless. He could be a king. Could be narrow-minded, but at times, you know, see the symbols here that he's holding. He could be a fair leader. It just depends on the feeling that you're getting from the card. Again, strong foundation, high achievement, somebody who's really, really reached the top of their profession. More than the CEO that I might get from the King of Pentacles, the Emperor is someone who has a very high station in life and is looked up to. That's the Emperor. Moving on to number 5, and I sure hope this is recording, but I think it is. I'm trying to get it so the light doesn't shine on it too much. The Hierophant is a little confusing for some people. And basically the Hierophant means someone more in a spiritual role rather than business. They could represent a priest in a traditional church, your pastor. Someone who is in the know as far as spirituality is concerned, someone who is imparting wisdom, and you can see the acolytes kneeling in front of the Hierophant looking for that higher wisdom. This is the one that holds the keys to the kingdom. It could represent an avatar, Jesus Christ, Buddha, anyone along the lines of holding yet, a very high spiritual position. Oftentimes in a reading, this card will mean to me that someone is a seeker of something much higher in their lives, or they're seeking out a mentor or mentorship. They're looking for themselves. They're looking for the meaning of religion. They're looking to a therapist possibly to help them in their lives. Once again, I'm going to move this back to here. Hopefully you can see it a little bit on the table. But whereas the leader is not so much a leader as in the Emperor, this one is more about God, higher self, divine wisdom, spirituality, someone in your life who teaches you these things, or someone that you might be seeking answers from on a high spiritual level. Okay, that's enough for now. Let me read from the quick reference sheet. And the Hierophant, church spiritual teacher, traditional, conventional, need for spiritual knowledge, someone who is humble, somebody who is humbled by their gifts in station and knowledge, but they don't use them to harm others. It could even indicate ritual of some sort of a very significant ritual to get something to happen. Okay, excuse me, let's move along to number 6. All right, this is a card that a lot of people love when it comes up. First of all, it says the Lovers. And naturally, the inclination is to think of a relationship between two people, a man and a woman, a man and a man, or a woman and a woman. It doesn't matter, but a very high soulmate type relationship. It's a card that represents two kinds of love relationships. You can have your higher based relationship that's based upon, not only the physical, but higher attributes of spirituality, cosmic, that sort of thing, karmic, maybe a past life relationship, and then your lower based relationship that might be based simply on sex, and that's all there is to it. The Lover's card does represent a relationship that could be blessed. You have Archangel Gabriel here. You have your man and your woman naked, and that shows that they are pure, looking for answers to the divine. It could represent high sexuality between the two people, and that it's the union between them is very pure and is reaching for the heavens, which is what the mountain represents. Now this could be Adam and Eve. The man is looking to the woman for the answers, and the woman is looking for the answers from the angelic being, who imparts those answers to her, and she passes it along to the man. Or it could be vice versa. Now this card could mean two people coming together, a future love relationship, or two people who care for each other a great deal. It's not necessarily, mother, daughter, father, son, brother, sister, but it does represent two beings coming together in a very powerful union. And I have on the quick reference sheet, strong love, relationship, choices in love. You have a choice. So like the Fool, the Lover's card is a choice card. Attraction, you may be attracted to someone, and there may be a very strong attraction to each other. And one of the people might not be free to partake in that relationship, but it does mean that there may be a past life connection or even a future connection between the two. It could represent, you know, pure unconditional love, that you have an opportunity with someone to love them unconditionally no matter what. And again, I mentioned it could represent a future love. Moving to the Chariot, another awesome card, number 7 in the Roman numerals. Here you have a gentleman who is directing a chariot. He's got the black and white sphinxes out in front of him, which means balance. He's got the cosmic canopy of stars. This is someone, through their own trials and tribulations of great emotions, have managed to come back into balance, get back on track, and be able to direct their destiny. This is a card of great power. It's a card of doing. It's a card of activity. I often feel like it could be a card of someone who's self-employed and really, really working at getting their life and their finances on track. This card is someone who has been through the mill and has overcome a lot of obstacles, a lot of difficulties to get to where they are in that feeling of power. Once again, there's a lot of symbolism on this card we'll be going through later on. But if this card were to come up in a reading and I was reading someone, I would let them know, hey, you've got some things coming up that you're going to be overcoming. This is really, really good news. If it comes up reversed, you kind of notate it in the back of your mind, but you might feel like, okay, there's still some obstacles to go before you reach this position of power and authority, but don't worry about it because it is there waiting for you. You just have to keep on track a little bit longer and keep going. That's the Chariot. Now here's a card that is about strength, very much like the Chariot, and it used to be card number 11 in some of the much older decks, which is the Justice card, but they were reversed by Edward Waite, and I think he was right in doing that. Number 8 is a number of power to begin with. And here you have a woman calming the beast. So what this tells me is that an individual has calmed the beast within, has really overcome a lot of their lower tendencies, and are trying to live in the higher pure tendencies of the divine, the beast within, our darker self, overcoming that with kindness and compassion. It's a card of understanding others and to try and understand where they're coming from. And it is like it was said in the Bible, the meek shall inherit the earth. This is the meaning of this card for me. Now, it could represent sexuality to some, and Aleister Crowley's deck, it does most definitely represent that. But I see it as a card of strength, and strength coming from kindness. Okay, and you can see how the beast is kind of like, she's petting the lion and he's putty in her hands and he's like kneading the grass and, you know, kind of wanting to go for something, but she's tamed this beast. She's through love and compassion and understanding, once again, this beast is putty in our hands. So it's kind of like how we treat others, and if we treat them with kindness, usually we get kindness in return. But just because we're kind doesn't mean we're weak. We still stand our ground, we still put up our boundaries. It's okay to be powerful and strong within oneself without being what I call codependent, without, you know, being at the whims of others and feeling like one is a slave to other people's emotions. This is a card also of setting great boundaries. Here is number 9. Yeah, I got it like that. Okay, this is the Hermit. This is the Hermit through self-isolation, has gained illumination. So the Hermit, having already been the warrior in the Chariot, having already been the woman soothing the beast, has climbed the mountain of great attainment. So this is really someone who has, through sacrifice and aloneness and walking their own path, so to speak, has become the illuminator and the teacher. So to me, this card very often represents a teacher or someone who's in the teaching profession, or who will be a teacher, someone who will impart knowledge in a way that they will hold up the lantern of light for others to follow. But this being is very, very humble, and they're not necessarily containing or having the arrogance of the emperor. They just know that, hey, this is the way I've gone, this is the way it works. The hermit really, again, through aloneness, it could represent someone who's alone too much and needs to get out and be around people, or someone who just prefers to be alone, do their own thing, do their study, read their books, you know, work in the workshop. They're not really great on being around multitudes of people. But in having that meditation time, it could be a card denoting great meditation and working on meditation to achieve that high state of bliss and illumination. That's just another meaning for the hermit. It's number 9. 9 is a number of endings, so the hermit is yet ready to move further down the royal road or the royal path of the major arcana. And so we're going to number 10. This is a very interesting card. And remember what I've said to you. The major arcana, when it shows up in a spread, the major cards hold precedence or more weight than the minor suits. So that if you've got a 10-card spread and you've got 5 major cards, you know that that client is going through a major shift in their life. And getting back to shift, let's segue into the Wheel of Fortune. We know the Wheel of Fortune goes up and then it goes down again, and it's constantly turning. In this card, the wheel means it's upright, so there's going to be a shift and a major change for someone. Maybe something they've been waiting for a long time is finally going to happen. They've really worked hard to get to where they at, and it brings in great love, luckiness. Anything that someone has really been striving for is about ready, the wheel's about ready to turn and move into their favor. I like to call this the green light card. When this card comes up, and if someone's come to me with, should I start this business or should I do this? And if this card comes up and they've been through kind of a rough time in the past, I'll say, yeah, it looks like it. It really looks like this is the time to go. Of course, you always check your intuition or your psychic centers to see what other information comes in for you as well. A lot of symbolism that we'll be going over in the weeks to come. Great card. If it comes up, don't tell your client, well, the Wheel of Fortune's reversed, so that's the end for you. I mean, you're messed up. There's just no way. I mean, you don't want to tell somebody something like that, but you might say you're going to have to wait a little while longer. Things are just not ready to shift toward your favor yet, but you can hang in there. Always, always, if you give them information that is not welcome, always try and do it diplomatically. Give them the upside, you know, give them hope, give them something to cling to. You don't want to tell somebody, Wheel of Fortune is, you're at the bottom of it right now, and so your life is terrible right now. You don't want to tell somebody something like that. Because remember, the Wheel of Fortune is always moving, and if you're at the bottom, it will move back up again, or it might be here, or it might be there, or it might be there. Okay, so that's a great card. And then the Justice card, which used to be number 8 but is now 11. Here we have Lady Justice. She's sitting on a throne. She's got the scales of justice there. She's holding up the sword of fairness. This card very often has to do with divine justice or karma as well. What you reap, you sow. Or if something has been done to you or your querent that's highly unfair, or you've been maligned in any way, or someone's been attacking you in any way, and especially in a court case, when this card comes up, it does mean that justice is going to be served. It could represent a contract. It could represent even a divorce, buying a home, going to see a lawyer, a paralegal, anything to do with the justice system. And this may even be, you know, talking to a couple police officers after a minor traffic accident. Or you have to go pay that ticket for your speeding ticket. But Lady's Justice really does try and serve. She does, the universe will step in and right things that are out of balance. And so when this card comes in, if it is reversed, you might say to someone, you need to get your life more into balance again. Well, how do I do that? Well, let's take a look at your life and see what else comes up here. What areas need to be balanced out for self-fulfillment? What contracts need to be done? What do you need to do in order to take care of your life in a legal way? So this is a great card when someone comes in and wants to ask you, should I sign that contract? Or should I even make up a contract for a client, or, you know, anything to do with legal matters? Whatever is around these cards will also influence them. So if you're doing a 3-card reading, you might see these 3 cards, past, present, and future. And this could mean someone in the past who's been unbending, unyielding, or they've had an influence in their life that has been very difficult to deal with, and they just haven't felt like themselves, like they could live their own lives. Then universal justice comes in, and events occur where all that's been out of balance before is coming back into balance with Lady Justice. And the future outcome is overcoming obstacles, feeling like one is feeling their own power, that they no longer let the influences of the past that may have been difficult mess with their emotions and themselves. They're self-empowered. And so you can see how you can take 3 cards just from the first 11 in the major arcana and do a past, present, and future reading. Now tomorrow I'm going to be doing the balance of the major cards so that you can start looking at them, getting a feel for them, getting comfortable with them, and then maybe doing a reading for yourself or someone else in your family. Now, if you are going to be practicing on family members or friends, first of all, you tell them, I'm just a student, I'm just learning. Take what you like and leave the rest. Because you're practicing, you have to tell them, please don't take what I'm saying at face value unless you get that feeling inside that it's something really important I should look into. As a beginner, those of you that have never read the tarot before, you may be afraid that you're making mistakes. You may be afraid that you're going to say something wrong. You can't do any harm unless you tell something really, really negative that is really not in the highest and best interest of the person that you're reading. So you may want to keep things very diplomatic, very on the surface in the beginning when you're doing readings. And I hope that this helps. I forgot to light my candle, so I will tomorrow. I just wanted to show you, I keep my cards when I'm not using them in this gray satin pouch. Now you should keep your cards in a box, a wooden box. It can be a silver or even a copper box. You may want to wrap them in a silk handkerchief or scarf. It doesn't matter if the scarf has a pattern on it, but the silk tends to ward off negativity. So that's why you want to keep the cards in a safe place. You don't want others playing with them. You're infusing them with your own energy just by working with them. Some people who buy a brand new deck, they're advised to keep the deck by their head for 30 days. Well, I tried that once, or I tried putting it under my pillow. Well, the only problem with that, they're lumpy, and you have to tie them up so tight. You don't want to get the cards bent as you're flipping and flopping during the night. So by your head is okay. I wouldn't say put them under your bed because that might cause you a lot of dreams above and beyond what you're used to having. But just working with them and infusing the cards with your positive energy, putting loving positive energy, asking for the highest and best good when you use these cards is always a good thing. I always keep a crystal, a quartz crystal, with my cards inside the pouch, and I usually keep them inside a drawer when they're not in use. When I'm at a bookstore or psychic fair, I'm getting my furniture in a few days, so I'll have my crystals, but always, always, always keep a crystal on top of your cards for protection and clearing them when they're not in use. Every time you do a reading, well, you always shuffle your cards after the reading. Some people knock them 1, 2, 3 just to clear out the energies, getting them ready for the new person. When you're ready to do another reading, say a short prayer. We'll go over that, ask for divine guidance once again, and for the highest and best good of all, which you always hear me say during our mediumship classes. So there you are. That is the first part of our tarot lesson. Hope you enjoy the movie. I hope it actually took and went okay. And I'm going to put it on standby now, and I'm going to convert it and send it to you. Take care, all.